And welcome to the Redeye stream number 292. Yeah, I mislabeled the last Redeye stream last week. Yeah, it wasn't 289. It was actually 291. So we're one step closer to ending the program. But hey, it is what it is. Tonight we're going to talk about some history, the Wild West. Maybe a little bit about excuse me, real gangsters. You know,
The
not
fun stuff.
not gangbangers, just popping shots at motherfuckers, but people like Pretty Boy Floyd, John Dillinger, Machine Gun Kelly, Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, some of the real archetypes of gangster culture, right?
Yeah, actual gangsters, not inner city wannabe assholes. People who still had some class, a little bit of self-respect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're not robbing people for their welfare check. Just saying.
just throwing that out there.
Wait, was that bad? I apologize. I'm sorry. All right, but here's the thing, man. Let's take it back to the Wild West. All right, you had people like Jesse James. They came from the Civil War era. They had fought in the war, and they came out, well, not okay necessarily, right? They came out of the war as different people. People like Jesse James and Frank James. Them specifically, Jesse was only 14 when he joined the Confederacy in Missouri, of all places. Like, it wasn't even the proper Confederate Army. They were bushwhackers. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and that was very common with especially outlaws in the West post Civil War. Is they were essentially war veterans, for lack of a better term. So it was a completely different sort of mentality when you're talking about some of these Western outlaws, as opposed to what we would consider a gangbanger today. Yeah, it's not those inner city types. It's people that still have a bit of a code of honor, a little bit of a rebellious streak, but it wasn't the same kind of degenerate bullshit that you would expect today. So that really did define the way that they acted and conducted themselves.
Yeah, and that even continues on into the 20s and the 30s as well. The era of the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression. They still had that outlaw mentality. You know what I mean? It was still the Wild West.
And that's something else that's interesting to point out is in American pop culture, especially post World War II, the reason that these outlaws were romanticized is it does kind of encompass a bit of the American dream, where you have freedom, you can do what you want. It's a brave new world, so to speak. You go ahead, you got your guns, you can rob a bank, you might get a posse after you. It's a dog eat dog kind of world, But you wouldn't see a gangbanger today somewhere in Baltimore or Chicago or Detroit, walk down at high noon and have a quote quote honorable duel. You wouldn't see a gunfight like that. Like, no, you do like drive-by shootings and that kind of bullshit. Like, so there was still a code of honor. As they say, honor amongst thieves.
Yeah, no.
I think honor amongst thieves as sort of a timeline, and then after that, I don't think it really cared. Do you understand what I mean?
It died off.
Well, Jez, here's a question to you directly, man. You are well, you're not American. So what is your what is your view on the Wild West and that mentality? Do you? Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Are we talking about like the Wild West depicted in movies and whatnot?
Jesse James, Billy the Kid.
I don't know. I don't know enough factual information on these characters. I'm aware that these people lived, but I don't know enough factual information. But I am also aware that the Wild West depicted in movies wasn't really as bad as it was depicted in movies. It was sort of a last fucking resort to shoot each other and shit like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't as bad as the movies made it out to be, if you know what I mean. People only shot each other for real reasons. Most people, even then, had fear of the gun, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, it was still there was still the outlaw gangs and everything, but you also, there was still the threat of being hunted down or being ostracized from society. Like there wasn't the same kind of societal structure that you would have on the East Coast with the more established colonies and larger cities. I mean, granted, you still had gangs and stuff like that, but it was a completely different sort of mentality. And with the Wild West, it was more you lived based on two things. You lived based on, your word, your honor, your merit, or you lived by the barrel of a gun. Hence the term the Wild West.
Well, no, and you had the exodus from the South into the Western territories after the Civil War. That did happen.
Aren't you involving me in this conversation? Right, Jez, you're the least amount of person to know what the hell we're talking about. So how do you feel?
Well,
It's more fun that way.
Exactly. It's kind of like me talking about Robin Hood. Like, what the fuck do I know?
He was a fictional character. That's all you need to know. He never existed.
That's not true. There is somebody in the records as Robin of the Hood. And they do believe that he might be Robin Hood.
No.
So I would disagree with you.
No.
Well, and also something else, touching on the glorification and the romanticizing of the Wild West, the outlaw gangs, the posses, and all of that. That was only one aspect of life. Granted, it's the most sensational type of story, hence why Hollywood likes to, make movies about it, because it makes for good entertainment. But also, you have to remember, like, even shows like Little House on the Prairie, you still had a lot of the Western settlers. You still had the threat from Native Americans and getting raided. You still had, of course, we know that outlaws would try to rob coaches or trains, but what about the people riding shotgun for the coaches? You don't really hear about that too much. You don't hear about, the snake oil salesman or the gold rush. I mean, there's a lot of other facets to Western Western society.
I think even to us people of England who've seen all the great fucking John Ford westerns and whatnot, you know what I mean? The snake oil salesman and so forth. I think that's ingrained to our culture as part of being America in its early days, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be a thing that like Disney would have definitely put in all of their earlier movies. I think you will find too that Westerns had their time.
There was a Volkswagen Beetle going through it, Disney.
Yeah, no, but like Westerns have had their time, and their time was basically around the 1950s, and it was during the 60s, and we started getting into tech. Fuck's sake.
Well, you've got to remember, 40, they were cheap to shoot back in the day. That's why all the studios fucking churned out all these westerns in the 30s and 40s because they were cheap to shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when they started getting into the 70s and 80s, they started getting into like your Star Wars and your blockbusters and your sci-fi and all that kind
Well,
of
that
shit.
all started with Jaws.
Yeah, no, wait.
Hang on. Around the 90s and the early 90s, they started doing shit like Deadwood and all this kind of stuff, and then realized, hang on, westerns aren't all that good. No one really likes them, so let's stop making them. That's why we've been going on those Marvel movies and shit.
What was that one from fucking couple of years back, 20 years? I don't know. I'm not too sure of the time span. What was that when Clint come back to the Western and it had Gene Hackman in it? What was that one?
That was Deadwood, wasn't it?
Unforgiven. That was a fucking brilliant return to the Western.
No, my favorite movie is Young Guns 1 and 2. So I guess my favorite movies. Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Dodge.
Fuck you, dude. Those are good.
Actually, I got a theory here on this one. I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback, Farty. I don't think it's because westerns were not popular. So what do you guys think about this? I don't think it's the fact that westerns weren't popular or there weren't good stories to tell. I do think it was because PC culture starting towards the late 90s was on the rise, and westerns don't exactly fit into that narrative very well.
Oh, they ran it dry. You look at some of the cheesier westerns.
No, okay, so 88, 88 you had
cheesier westerns.
Real quick, in 88 you had Young Guns 1. In 93 you had Young Guns. In 99 or 2000 you had that Jesse James movie. What was that fucking called?
But it was gone. That was all bullshit, though. They weren't even taken seriously as westerns, Dodge. They were just a joke, mate. They were just a little fucking fly-by-night little cowboy shoot 'em up.
Remember when everybody started freaking out in the late 90s, early 2000s about Blazing Saddles? I think that was more of what killed the Western, not necessarily the fact that there weren't good stories or they weren't.
Blazing Saddles was what, 78, 79?
But the thing is, it started becoming culturally inappropriate to prop up a Western as a good story. So Hollywood stopped making it because they were more concerned about pandering.
It goes back to what I'm saying, Doku. It's because it was a cheap
wait a minute.
make. Like how TV is nowadays, like reality TV is the cheapest television to make. Back then, Western was the cheapest film to make.
Well, no, in 97 you had in 97 you had
between 1930 and between 1960, late end of the 60s, they were churning these westerns out day in, day out.
Yeah, but we're talking about, even 98 and 97. You had Unforgiven. You had
Unforgiven, which was the only movie, right? Dodge right there. Unforgiven, the only movie which brought the Western back on the map momentarily. Nobody gave a fuck about the Western until the Unforgiven with Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood. Nobody.
I would even make the argument, at least the spirit or the style of telling a story that is Western. You could say that "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" or "No Country for Old Men" have that same sort of feel,
right? Doku, I am fucking with you there completely, mate. Being a Coen Brothers fan, I completely understand what you're saying because both of them movies you just mentioned have that feel.
Creepy Little Book says Young Guns.
In a modern day setting.
Yeah, exactly. The Western. Yeah, I don't think the Western is dead. I think it became not politically correct or socially acceptable to have that same sort of style of movie. Or if you want to at least do it in today's current Hollywood environment, you really better have a damn good pitch. Because
I think today, now, more than ever, we need.
Jez, real quick,
movie.
That Jesse James movie I was thinking of is
Jesse James.
It's American Outlaws, right?
Oh, that was a good movie. That was a really fucking good movie.
Yeah, was it?
That is fucking hot, dude.
And I would even go as far as to say Oh, what's that movie? Smoking Aces, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch. I would even say those movies have elements of a Western in terms of how they're presented from a narrative standpoint.
No, dude,
back.
they were just an
No,
exaggerated version of London
no,
gangsters.
Snatch was a
It was a
pikey.
blown over, exaggerated version of London gangsters.
I'm still going to stand. I'm going to stand by my argument. I still say they have the kind of narrative element of a Western. I'm not saying they are a Western, but it has the same sort of. It has the same sort of plot keys that you would need.
I disagree with you on this one, Doku. I disagree.
Yeah, Snatch was a pikey movie, dude. That's a gypsy movie.
No, not really. There was
not a
more
Western.
to it than that, Dodge. There was more to it than that.
Okay, so what are the elements you need in a Western?
Well, the American West.
Well, that
to
depends.
begin with.
Right.
Oh no, from a narrative standpoint, what defines a Western? And when I say it has elements of being a Western, it has the same kind of narrative feel. I'm not saying that it's a Western movie. But you're talking about a movie with a group of misfits. You have some crime involved. You have some guns involved. You have some of the criminal underground. I would say no. Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, and Snatch do have the same elements you would see in an American Western. The only difference is it's not American. It's not set in the American West.
Disagree with you, Doku. Sorry, mate, but I disagree with you. I think the classic American Western was clear cut. Black out, white out. Bad guy, good guy. Clear cut. There was no in between.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. You can almost try and argue that Pulp Fiction is a Western if you're taking that argument, Doku. I disagree with
it. Does have the same, but it does have the same elements from a Western. The only difference is that it's not set in the American West, but it still has the same elements.
What, the outlaw mentality, the rebellion aspect? Is that what you're
I would say the defining aspect of an American, I would say the aspect, what defines a Western, and this is, I'm not saying unique to the American West, but a Western, or at least as far as a narrative perspective goes, is you have a group of social misfits who aren't exactly, they don't fall into line with social standards.
Is narratively already set in the world of cinema. The Western movie is already set. Cowboys versus whatever, or white hat versus black hat.
Well, because you have the same aspects when it comes to a pirate flick, right? That you have with the American West, but they're two different genres.
And so this is what I wanted to get to. What defines
dry between black hat and white hat pirate? It's cut and dry.
Again, this is what I wanted to get to, and this is why I want to bring this back around a little bit. What was the defining aspect of the American West and what it stands for? Freedom, a bit of a rebellious streak, essentially anti-establishment. You're free to do what you want. You got to take care of yourself. It's you against the world, pretty much. I mean, that not what America is?
Yes, but it's film. It was the rose-tinted version of that ideal. It's film.
But that's still what the West was. It was endless possibility, but endless hardship at the same time. But it's, the whole idea of manifest destiny, you against the world, fighting the elements, the rebellious streak, anti-establishment. You got to protect your farm, your homestead against Indians, against bank robbers. Maybe you are the bank robber. It's that rebellious streak that defines the feel of a Western.
Real quick. Creepy little book in the chat goes, "I'll make you famous." You know what my favorite line from Young Guns is? You are not a god. Why don't you pull the trigger and find out? That is my favorite line from that movie. I love that.
That's a good one.
The problem is with the Western, there was so few good ones and so many bad ones, and which flooded the market. That's how I see the Western as a modern cultural piece of film. There was only so few good ones, like The Searchers, True Grit. You know what I mean?
I don't
Basically,
know, man.
movies.
I gotta keep.
You know what I
I
mean?
gotta keep quoting Young Guns, dude.
Young Guns wasn't a fucking western. It was a bullshit
let's finish
film.
the game. Let's finish the game. All right, it's on.
Young Guns was bullshit, mate. It wasn't even a
It was a
fucking
good
western
fucking
movie.
movie. Dude,
No,
no,
it
you're
wasn't.
attacking
It
my
was
favorite
fucking
movie.
garbage. It was
Thousand Ways to
fucking
Die in
garbage.
the West or The Ridiculous Six?
Put that up against a Ford movie like True Grit or The Searchers. Fucking do me a favor. Fucking
No,
Young
what's
was just an
what's
action
the
fucking flick bullshit.
what's the movie from the 70s that was about Wyatt Earp and the shoot at the OK Corral?
Oh, the one
fucking hell, there's been so many. Oh shit.
No, there was
Was
one
that
from like 72 or 73 that was really fucking good.
I'm trying
wasn't
to think.
that a shootout at the OK Corral or whatever?
I think the name was actually just the OK Corral or something like that.
I fucking know the movie. I should fucking know this. What the
I can't remember either.
And reading the chat, Ain't Jack says the Brits should not be allowed to make comments about westerns anymore. Mad. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, how dare you?
Excuse me, if it wasn't
Yeah,
for the
but
fucking Brits, there wouldn't be a
about
Western in the
filmmaking.
first place.
We can make comments about filmmaking.
If it wasn't for the Brits, there wouldn't be a Hollywood.
Is this fucking criminal going to bat for the Brits right now?
Oh shit! What was that fucking film? Oh, Doku's fucking up, man. I can't think about that. What the?
You fucking Aussie! Fuck you!
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the movie either. It's gonna drive me fucking nuts now. I'm gonna be thinking about this all fucking night.
It's not my fault. It's the truth, Dodge.
I mean, Hilda, I won't adhere to the idea that the Western is dead or it's boring. I mean, there's still a lot of different stories you could tell from the American West that would make for really good stories, a really good film, really good entertainment. I just think Hollywood's way too fucking lazy and creatively bankrupt to actually do it. Hey,
what about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Oh,
that was a good fucking movie.
Oh, that does hold a little bit of a special place in my heart. I like that movie.
Well, I mean, hell, so Mad Dodge, like with the graphic novel me and you have been talking about, you could easily make a Western revolving around, just a card game at a salon somewhere. Like, there's a lot you could do. I just think Hollywood is way too fucking lazy to actually do it.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
it
seems that Hollywood is going more high fantasy, because of the success of Game of Thrones, and even what was that Netflix fucking series?
Stranger Things.
No, the high fantasy one. It was The Royals or some shit like that.
I don't know. I got rid of my Netflix account fucking years ago because they can suck my dick. Netflix can go to hell.
Bada bing, bada boom. Fucking with Doku on that one.
I thought it was. I think it was about Queen Victoria, I believe. It was centered.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, it was centered around England.
Yeah, well, fuck Netflix. They can go back to making documentaries about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Obama.
I'll watch it when they do an American remake.
Damn.
Oh, fucking do, man. You know what I mean? I'd rather have Three's Company over than Man About the House any day of the fucking week.
Oh, and hell, dude, we're talking about fucking Netflix over here. They're the same people that fucking try to redub Neon Genesis Evangelion and say, like, it's a Netflix original. It's like, no, it isn't, motherfucker. You just redubbed the damn thing. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck you, man. I'd rather watch it with subtitles. Go fuck yourself.
I like a doc I seen on fucking Netflix not long ago about fucking Assad, and they're trying to say that everyone hates him and he's such a despot that everyone's out to get him while he's driving his own car through fucking Damascus, unescorted, unarmed. You fucking dickheads.
Yeah, that's because
Netflix is a piece of
people
shit.
all around the car with fucking cameras, man. They're not going to shoot the cunt live on air, are they?
No, well, there's all these cunts just walking through the streets like, fucking nothing's happening, and it's sort of like, oh, look, there's Assad, whoopie-doo. No one's fucking waving their fists or fucking shouting shit at him or throwing rocks or no one gives a fuck. They're full of shit.
Gee, it's almost like they're trying to push a narrative.
Exactly.
Jeez.
The power of the media. Exactly.
Kind of sounded a bit like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
big surprise.
The power of the media, especially when they're in Kevlar jackets.
Well, no, and as we move forward, you move forward from the Western films into the gangster era of the 30s, where you had people like Pretty Boy Floyd, you had John Dillinger, Machine Gun Kelly, and this was like the almost
Machine
the
Gun
Wild
Kelly.
West all over again, right?
And that's the thing. Again, it's the spirit of the Western, which I will make the argument is something that's distinctly American and kind of ingrained in our culture. You went from trying to conquer the elements and homesteading and manifest destiny, robbing stagecoaches and robbing trains, bank robbery, drinking whiskey, playing fucking poker or dice at a fucking saloon. Then you went to distilling fucking booze and gun running and all sorts of other shit, in the early 20s and 30s, in a time when the economy was in certain ways just as bad, but with just a different flavor on it. But it's still that distinctly American rebellious sort of misfit mentality.
And we took that on. We took
run by Italians.
60s with the rise of the craze and whatnot. We took that fucking gangster fucking. We thought we'll have a go at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's distinctly American, but it's run by Italians.
Yeah, you had the Italians, you had the Irish.
Yeah, but that was only like Vegas. It wasn't everywhere.
Well, you had Italians, you had Irish, you had native-born Americans. I mean, there was quite a few Native Americans who were rather anti-establishment, a bit on the rebellious side. Yeah,
making the fire water.
Yeah, we're not talking about Tonkasaw.
No, seriously, I am directly related to Pretty Boy Floyd.
Oh, fuck off.
No, I am. That's my only claim to fame.
Has he left you his fortune? No.
No, he got shot in the back by a U.S. Marshal. Fucking bastards.
No, left him his prettiness and made him look like Keemstar.
Tell you something, Dodge.
Fucking hell, are you channeling fucking Cabbage or something?
I know, right? He won't shut the fuck up. No, I'm kidding. No.
Fuck you, my friend.
But no, that's not the Italian mafia that we're talking about here. We're talking about the Depression era bank robbers. You had, John Dillinger and people like that, Public Enemy #1. They weren't necessarily mafia members. They weren't the Italian, mob.
Oh, and don't forget all the bootleggers and the speakeasies. I mean, hell, thank you, federal government. You created an entire underground industry that made a lot of people rich.
Yep.
But again, very distinctly American. Yeah. It's a very distinctly American thing to just give the establishment the proverbial middle finger and say, fuck it. If I'm going to break the laws, I'm going to break the law. Don't infringe on my rights. Go fuck yourself. And that mentality still plays true to this day. Like with all the, not to derail the conversation too much, but like with this whole like, oh, we need to ban guns or we need hate speech laws or this or that. No, fuck you. You're not going to tell me what to do. I don't care about the fact that you're supposed to be a government official. No, you're infringing upon my fucking rights. You can go fuck yourself. The Western and the 1920s, 1930s gangsters, that was the kind of same exact mentality they had back then, and it's still holding strong to this day.
Well, the people will still always have that mentality. The people, if you know what I mean, Doku, you know what I mean? The people.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we the people. You're supposed to be a fucking representative. You're not a fucking dictator. So screw you. If you want to, and I'm sure Mad Dodge will back me up on this one. If you want to infringe on my rights and I don't like what you're saying, guess what? I'm not going to abide by your social standards just because you want to be the moral arbiter of what's right and just.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah, no, like the thing is, there has been a steep history in the United States of opposition to authority and more to the point, taxation. And we don't take kindly to either of those. I mean, we really don't.
Yeah, our mentality is very strongly entrenched in personal freedoms and personal responsibility. It's kind of like where we make fun of, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I make fun on a daily basis of like all the Antifa and people that need safe spaces or advocate for some sort of oversight, or they can't take personal accountability for their own stupid decisions. That is distinctly un-American. And people who are remotely patriotic, look at that shit and either A, think it's pathetic, or B, think it's funny, or more often a combination of the two, and give it a healthy amount of pushback.
Well, no, and real quick, £2 super chat by Aaron. Italy is a stupid country, but not as bad as France. Fair enough.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if France gets rid of Macron and they go back to the age of the guillotine, then maybe they can about face. Not that I advocate for violence or anything. Don't hit us.
No, and the panel does not necessarily reflect the views of Mad Dodge Productions or any of his subsidiaries whatsoever. I don't believe anything Doku says. He's
shit. Oh shit.
He's
almost
as bad as the women's. All right.
The women's? I respect women's. Don't hate us, YouTube. We're tolerant here.
That's why you make such good sandwiches.
Damn right.
Oh, dude.
Well, that's why women have got shorter toes, man, so they can get closer to the sink.
I don't have a Twitch channel, so I don't know if I can go that far.
Well, no.
Is that too much?
Doku. I prefer pastrami and roast beef. I like mayonnaise, pickles, lettuce, tomato. And you better put it together correctly, or I'm going to slap you.
As a matter of fact,
I'll let Sharadi know.
That sounds like a damn fine sandwich. That does, my Dodge.
I know, right? Like, I'm hungry now.
I'm fucking telling you, that sounds like a damn fine sandwich. Motherfuckers, you're all millions of miles away. I can't order one of them.
At least I know what I like, right? Get her done, Doku. Hurry the fuck up.
I'll send Sharadi your order on your behalf.
Yeah, it comes with a big fuck you.
Yeah, no. God damn it. Okay.
We went from westerns to sandwiches. Good job, guys.
I'm hungry now. Like, God damn
I
it.
only stepped out for 2 minutes, and that's what the transition was: westerns to sandwiches.
Yeah, we could be talking about how to home distill your own whiskey.
Actually, you know what's interesting? I have a book that tells you exactly how to build a still and how to hide it correctly as well. It's actually a pretty good book. It was written in the 1920s. Go figure.
Gee, imagine my shock.
I think I'll bother get an updated version of the book, to be honest, so we don't have to put it in the shit house out back.
It's from the 1920s, so it'll say shit like, hide your steel in the back of your shed next to your dynamite, your cocaine, and your heroin.
40. Exactly 40. I'd want an updated and revised version of this book.
Oh, no, we're talking about distilling our own liquor. We're not talking about what you do when you're in Mexico.
Yeah, we're not cooking crystal meth, all right? God damn
The only
it.
thing they do in Mexico is beg everybody come to Cancun, isn't it? That's the only thing they do.
No, go to the mountains. You'll find some heroin, a few poppy fields, maybe some marijuana. Yeah, they're the ones that produce the drugs. We produce the liquor.
I can just go up the street and get marijuana. I don't have to go to Mexico.
Mexico
Well, that's because
has
you don't live in
shit
the United States.
anyway. Like, seriously.
Unfortunately, well, I don't live in Canada. Unfortunately,
Actually, I hear Canada grows quite a good amount of cannabis.
well, they've just legalized it nationwide. If I ever get enough money to get there, I'm going.
Yeah, but you're gonna go to the French part because you're a weirdo.
I don't give a fuck what part I go in. As long as it's the part where I don't get arrested for growing marijuana. I don't care which part I'm in, as long as I'm in Canada. I don't care.
It's probably not the
fair
French
enough.
part. Ontario, perhaps.
Vancouver.
As far as I know, it's countrywide. Countrywide, you can grow like 6 plants. Countrywide, that'll do me.
I wouldn't mind going to Alberta.
Sick of living in this fucking shithole of a fucking country where we can go fucking jail just for having a joint. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's worse than that, dude. You can go to jail for what? Saying the word. Well, I probably shouldn't say that word.
Yeah, I hear if you have some hot takes on Twitter, you can have some
but it's
police
bullshit.
knocking on your door.
This country is fucking bullshit, man. It's archaic. It's behind the fucking times. Get a fucking grip, Britain. Jesus Christ. Fucking 3/4 of the population smokes marijuana. Revise the laws, government. You fucking idiots. Jesus, man.
Well, can't you just like ask the Queen nicely if you can grow a marijuana plant?
Oh, if only, Dodge. If only it went like that.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
I wish it did. Your Majesty, is it okay if I grow a couple?
Yeah, please. I mean,
Yeah, send her a birthday card and ask nicely.
And trust me, I'm only doing it for anxiety issues only. Wink, wink.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Jamaica's still in the Commonwealth, isn't it?
Oh, fuck it, there I'm going there. Then 40. Fuck it.
No. Just saying that's the reason why the Queen doesn't have any weed in her own royal gardens. She's got an entire royal garden called Jamaica.
Fucking bullshit, man. Fucking England's got this arcade fucking view.
Yeah, real quick, Brian the Observer, $2 via super chat. Jamaica.
See? All we know is super chats.
God damn it. I already apologized, motherfucker. Come on. God damn. Making me feel bad and shit.
I doubt that very much.
In the chat, Rock and Green Moon, the West was more about owning your own destiny. The mobsters were more about honor and feudalism. Yes, but there's a decent amount of overlap between the mentality of the American West and the mentality of the American mobster. Both of them had one thing strongly in common, and that was the idea of personal freedom. Again, something very distinctly, at least back in the day, something Americans used to cherish, but unfortunately now seems to be a little bit lost because people seem far too willing to give up their freedom for the false promise of safety.
Well, no, that's a really good point. It was Benjamin Franklin who said, "What have you?" He was asked, "What have you given us? Freedom, if you can keep it." Right? And it doesn't seem like we want to keep it anymore. It seems like we're throwing it by the wayside.
Well, and that's the thing. Like the joke that gets thrown around all the time in current year is, when when you're seconds away from death, the cops are only 5 minutes away. What would you rather have? Personally, I would rather have my my AR-15, my 1911, and maybe a revolver, a sword, a few knives, whatever the hell I can get, as opposed to putting my freedom, my life, the life of my loved ones, family, and friends in the hands of somebody who I personally don't fucking know simply because they have a badge and the state says that, oh, well, they're an authority figure. I don't fucking care if they have a badge. I don't care if they have a uniform. I don't care if they're an authority figure. And I don't care if they're fucking sanctioned by the state. If somebody busts into my house, guess what? You're getting a fucking 12 gauge to the chest. I'll fill out the paperwork later.
Well, yeah, no, and you have these entitled little sons of bitches, for lack of a better fucking term, who will come inside your house and look down upon you. Why? Because they feel like they're fucking intrinsically better than you. It's like Anna Kasparian or whatever the fuck her name is.
Kasparian, right? Yeah. We just call her the dumb bitch.
Yeah, I'm fucking better than you. No, you're fucking not, you dumb cunt.
Well, is that the collective description?
Oh, there's plenty of people who would be willing to throw away their personal freedoms for the sake of fitting into an ideology, or because I don't know that guns are bad. I guess
they're fucking morons, Endoku. They're fucking morons.
Oh yeah, we know. We all know this. They're complete idiots.
Why would you?
Again, there was it because what, I really couldn't give you a good answer because I can't understand the idea of stupidity that these people go through. It's it's another argument. Everybody says like, well, back in the 1700s, the founding fathers didn't intend for us to have large capacity magazines or automatic weapons and everything. You could own a frickin' cannon. You could have a cannon under the Second Amendment in the 1700s and 1800s. You're telling me that the founding fathers don't want you to have an automatic rifle because muskets were a thing back in the day? Really? That's the logic you're going with. You can't have a fully automatic rifle, but you can own a frickin' cannon. All right. Okay.
I dare say one cost a lot more to produce.
I think the cannon would actually be cheaper.
Mine was free.
And Bear Dog is advocating for dildo cannons.
In all fairness, though, he did steal it from a museum from the 1700s, 40. So yeah.
No, it's actually a Bofors gun. An RSL club wanted to get rid of it, and I had to take it. And I just said, I'll have it. And here you go. Fucking, you just got to get rid of it. All right. Pinched the truck from work. Fucking took it from their hands. No worries. Yeah.
And in the chat,
and went outside, drew a chalk line outside his front door and said, "Cross that, you cunt, and I'll fucking kill you."
And also in the chat, Iraq and Green Moon, yes, there were multi-shot pistols back in the day as well. They weren't very common, but they did exist. And also, Ain't Jack, yes, a lot of U.S. Navy vessels were privately owned and privately armed. Even merchant ships had weaponry because threat of piracy.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
So, yeah, Second Amendment shall not be infringed. I mean, hell, as far as I'm concerned, I should be allowed to have a tank. Granted, I won't have enough money to buy one or maintain it, but why should I not be allowed to have one?
You are allowed to have a tank.
Hey, real quick.
Can you though?
Yeah.
Can you, if you had the fucking money, Doku? If you had the money, Doku, could you buy a tank and legally drive it in the streets of America?
Yes, he could.
I could buy it. I don't know if I can legally drive it on a public street, however.
Yeah, you can register it and drive it. Yeah, no worries. You absolutely can.
Well, I'm buying a fucking tank.
Freedom 15.
Okay, real quick. Mad Dog just trying to say something.
Yeah. Okay. My wife just got home. I have to help bring in groceries. Doku, can you take over for a few minutes? That's all I needed to say, guys. God damn it.
Yes, sir.
You could have fucked off. We would have spoken over the top of you anyways, and fucking, you would have been done by now. But you can absolutely get a tank. You can buy a tank. You can register it. You can drive it on the roads. You can do it in Australia, America, and even in the UK. The only reason why people don't do it is that, like,
Don't tell me I
tanks.
can buy a tank and drive around
Fucking oath you can.
the
Fucking oath.
UK.
See, the thing is,
Absolutely, you can.
if I could, I would. But I actually did talk to somebody about this. There is okay, hold on, buddy, real quick.
Hang on, let me fucking finish.
Okay, let me fucking finish, but then I'm talking.
Up a Kickstarter.
Jez,
so I can buy a tank and drive it around the streets of the UK.
Yeah, right. Now, the reason why people do not do it is because whilst the tank is owned by the government, it is actually pretty cheap when you're working with fleets and shit like that. But when you're actually a civilian person by yourself and you're trying to run and maintain it, doing the work of your 5-man crew and all this kind of stuff, it's very, very long, very, very arduous, very, very prohibitively expensive. Just in the maintenance of the vehicle alone, and then not to mention the fuel. Remember, you're talking gallons to the mile as opposed to miles to the gallons. So just going down the road and getting some milk is going to be fucking expensive.
I retract my statement of wanting to drive a tank through the streets of the UK. Apparently, fuck that. I'm with 40 bollocks.
Well, and so no, there's the last person I talked to, because I actually was looking into this. You can get an armored vehicle. But when it comes to like a full blown like tank, if we're talking about like a Sherman or an Abrams, well, there's a reason. Real quick, Jez. There's a reason you can't drive them on public roads is because the damn things weigh so much it starts destroying utilities and pipelines and shit like that. So they actually won't allow you to do it.
No, that's actually a load of shit.
I don't know. That makes a bit of sense.
You need to have a proving ground or private land. You can't drive them on public roads.
No. That's
surely 40 would fucking do something.
Well, that's the whole idea. The whole idea of the fucking tracks is to disperse the weight. They're no heavier than a fucking semi-trailer.
Yeah, well, it might differ state by state, but that's the law that's on the books in my state at least. Because they're technically
what you'll actually
makes sense to me.
What you'll actually find is that some tanks didn't have what's called road tracks, and road tracks have got fucking rubber grommets in between the metal gluts. Now, some have only just come out with metal gluts. There's nothing you can do about it. So those ones you can't drive on the road because they'll chew up the road and leave the fucking score marks and all that kind of stuff. But the ones with road grommets on them, like the rubber pads, because they're actually designed to run on roads and shit like that. You can run them on the roads, no worries.
So there's probably some stipulation and extenuating circumstances I need to look into a bit more. But as far as I know, at least my state doesn't look kindly on you driving a tank down the road. And Bear Dog, I see in the chat, I'm not talking about an armored vehicle. I'm talking about, like, I want a full-blown tank. Like, I want a fucking T-72. I want a fucking T-72 and drive that shit down fucking 28 or 66 or on the fucking beltway around DC.
See, hang on. T-72.
I think it'd be fucking hilarious.
I don't think they came with road tracks, though.
Well, they weren't exactly built for urban combat anyways. There's
more of the point the Russians didn't get. Like, if you got a T-72 rolling down your street, it's more the point that they don't give a flying fuck about your street because they've already destroyed everything else.
Yeah, fair point. Although again, it would still be funny as shit.
It's kind of like that thing a few years back where the British were talking about the green emissions coming out the back of a fucking Challenger 2 tank, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, you're worried about the diesel exhaust coming out of this end while depleted uranium goes out that end. Rightio, yeah, you got your priorities set, right, don't you?
And Bear Dog, I know what you're talking about. That was not a tank, though. Not in the sense that I'm talking about. I want like a main combat tank. I don't want a command vehicle or an APC or anything like that. I want a fucking T-72 tank. I want a main battle tank. That's what I want. And I'm gonna paint it bright pink. I'll put the gay pride flag on the side of it. If they try to take it off the road, then I'll just claim discrimination.
Get him a Panzer II. He'll look like a fucking Funko Pop sitting on top of it.
The gayest tank in the parade.
I'm just trying to show my pride. Trying to be all inclusive here.
Oh, well, that's what we all try to do and strive to do nowadays.
Oh, come on, though. Tell me you wouldn't laugh your fucking ass off if you saw a bright pink T-72 driving down the fucking streets of DC.
In all fairness, if I saw a bright pink tank driving anywhere, I would laugh my ass off.
Hang on,
It'd be fucking hilarious.
where have I seen a bright pink tank?
Wait, is that actually... Did someone beat me to it?
Yeah,
Motherfuckers.
I'm fucking positive I've seen a bright pink. Either it's a T-54, 55, or a T-70.
Nah,
T-72.
that was just another ex-Missy's memes.
Beat Richie. Oh, that would be even better. I want a fucking bright pink T-72, but every time I fucking hit the horn, I want it to do the Pennywise the Clown fucking honk honk. Oh, no, even better. I'm going to paint it fucking rainbow. I'm going to call it the Honkler. The Honkler 3000. It'll be 4chan's official armored vehicle.
No, man, it's got to be pink, flamboyant, with flowers, and it goes... Darling.
Hey, that's racist.
There you go. Pink T-72. T-72 85 or a T-72 76? Which one do you want?
Give me the 85.
85 it is.
So someone already fucking beat me to it. Damn it. Well, Honkler 3000 it is.
I'll have which one can get me my pizza in under 30 minutes. That's the one I'll have.
Oh, even better. I'm gonna get a fucking T-72 and I'm gonna use it to do pizza deliveries. You better tip me, bitch. Oh shit.
I'll have to put it in Discord.
Actually, that reminds me. I did miss out several years ago. USAA was doing a point giveaway thing before they got rid of their point system. But you could get a ride in a fucking MiG-27.
Really? Holy
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, I'd fucking like a bit of that.
Oh yeah, I would love to fucking have a joyride in a MiG-27. You kidding me? Like, bro, those things are fucking amazing. Granted, there are better airplanes out there. A Flanker D would be a nice bit of a roller coaster ride.
I entered a raffle once, go up with the red arrows, but I didn't fucking win. It's like, oh man.
There you go. In general, in Dodger's stream there, Doku.
Oh boy.
Yeah, see the track.
It's not even bright. It's not even bright pink. You gave me. It's a neon fucking pink.
It's got a big
T-72. That's
middle finger coming out the top of it too. Now you see the tracks there, right? Now it's down the center line of the tracks. There's usually big black rubber blocks. Now if it's got the big black rubber blocks, that's the road track. Hey.
Oh, pink tank, right?
Yeah, right. Now, see that one doesn't have the pink rubber, the black rubber blocks, or any rubber blocks down the center of it. They're not road tracks. They're the ones that dig up the road and shit.
So what do you know?
I have a question. Farty. So, what would you consider Australia's Wild West days? Would it have been when you guys were first being colonialized or what have you? Or
Yeah, it's pretty much the initial expansion especially when we first started getting like railway lines and stuff like that in, because we had bush rangers and shit like that did stop trains and rob the passengers, and they did do stagecoaches before we had rail and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, we had like a Wild West with like, you know, fucking outlaws and shit like that. It's like Ned Kelly was the fucking, what's his name? Thunder Crack Jack and his bum Jack Crack or fucking whatever the fuck. Yeah. Bloody
Throwing the
yeah.
crack jack. Throwing the crack jack and his black and white.
A whole bunch of fucking famous cunts I'm supposed to know because I'm supposed to learn this shit in school, but I couldn't give a fuck anymore.
Well, no, that's just, I was kind of curious because, I mean, it's classic Americana, the Wild West, and even 1930s on the East Coast, and in the Midwest. It is just classic Americana. I was kind of curious on how it is over there.
Yeah.
What would you classify that same era as?
Yeah, the 18th century. Well, sorry, the 17th century, the 1800s. That was pretty much that entire time. As soon as like 1900 hit, then we basically became more of a civilized country. Civilization wise.
Okay, yeah, no, and Aunt Jack in the chat says Argentina had their own cowboy culture as well. I didn't know that. That's actually really interesting.
Oh yeah, the what was it? The
not the
Gauchos?
Guapos. The Gauchos.
Yeah, Gauchos. That's what it was. I don't know why I wanted to say Guapos.
I wasn't even aware of any of that stuff.
Isn't that the main hamburger at a Burger King over in that area? I love a guapo.
I do know
I'll take a guapo.
I do know in Brazil there's the Confederados, which are descendants of Confederate veterans that left after the fall of the Confederacy. They actually moved down to Brazil, and there's a quite a big culture down there of ex-Confederates. It's really interesting.
Fucking
well, you know,
if they're the cunts that tried to hide Hitler after World War II.
Well, ranching and cattle driving has its origins in South America.
Well, no, that's Argentina, not Brazil. Different country.
Oh, fuck. That would be funny. That shut him up. Fuck.
No, I'm good now.
No, creepy little book in the chat. Apparently, he met an old cowboy. He had that look in his eyes.
Something tells me he's been here before because, I don't know, experience makes you wise or something like that.
Or maybe the absolute opposite.
No, she started, that's a line from a Gunners song. I met an old cowboy. I seen the look in his eyes. Something tells me he's been here before, cause experience makes you wise. Yeah, dead horse. Sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. What? Don't leave me here fucking singing, cunts.
Let me stop. If you want to hear any more, you've got to put 20 fucking cents in the jukebox.
Or swipe your credit card down me bum crack.
They don't want that much. They just want to hear the rest of the song.
So that's how the Twitch thoughts are taking payment nowadays.
Yeah, that's why they call Twitch thoughts, because every time you run your credit card down your bum crack, they twitch.
I because I'm like fucking. I don't understand what all these words are. I had to look up. Thank God for this thing called Urban Dictionary. I had to look up what thought was.
This twerking fad has gotten way out of hand.
Oh, seriously, man, these internet words fucking. I'll look it up. Thank God for Urban Dictionary.
Well,
what the fuck people are talking about.
go look this one up then, Jez. A donkey punch jackpot.
I've already done that though. See, I don't need Luke with that up. I've already done it.
How about the Eskimo trebuchet?
Done that too.
Oh no. Okay, for anyone who wants to know what
and whatever you want to throw at me, I've done it.
Yeah, Now, for anyone who wants to know what the hell a donkey punch jackpot is, it's basically a normal donkey punch, but you insert a roll of quarters up a fanny hole. So, like when you, like, basically the donkey punch is you do it from behind, and when
Yeah,
you're about
you
to
pay
blow,
notes at the
shut
end.
up, fuck yeah. But when you're about to blow, you punch her in the back of the head. That's supposed to knock her out, clench her bumhole up, and it's supposed to get all really tight and shit like that. Now, you do the donkey punch, but when she loosens up afterwards, all the coins fall out. Jackpot.
Yeah, she pays out at the end.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh, me and 40 have obviously fucked the same chicks.
That'll explain all the VD then.
No, real quick. And Jack, who's the boomers? Damn it. I'm in my 30s. I'm not a boomer.
Apparently, we're all boomers.
God damn it.
I don't even know what this generation, what are boomers, what are these, what are that? I don't understand it.
This is why you have the internet.
Yeah, but I'm a lazy twat and can't be asked to look at this shit up.
When in doubt, the internet is always there to hold your hand. It might not always lead you to the nicest of places, but it's there to hold your hand at least.
No, I think I'm born in the... I'm not a twat. If that's a thing, I think I was born then.
No, that's not a thing. You're a Brit. You're always twats.
So no, apparently you're a boomer if you use Urban Dictionary.
My dodge, in all fairness, I'll go back on that. I'm a superior, not a twat.
Oh man. So, all right. Moving through, you had what? The Wild West. You had the gangster culture of the 30s. Then you had the 80s and 90s. What the fuck happened?
Oh, when the mafia were running Vegas, and the 70s. American culture. My favorite part of American culture.
No, I can tell you what happened in the 80s and 90s as opposed to what was going on in the 20s and 30s.
In the 70s, man. When the mobs ruled Vegas.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking more about rap culture, the NWA, Crips, Bloods.
That's
West
in the 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, the West Coast versus the East Coast, where you had fucking, people like Tupac being fucking blasted. You know what I mean?
Red or blue, brother.
Well, again, it was more of a cultural shift. If you look at America post World War II, it's completely different type of environment. So it wasn't just a shift in, say, like, it was Miami Vice, drugs, the stock market was booming, the hippie movement, all that kind of shit. It was speaking of boomers, it was the boomer generation, and it had a widespread cultural effect on America. We're not talking about the same sort of rebellious, anti-establishment, personal freedom, gun-toting, outlaws, or, gangsters, mobsters of yesteryear. We're talking about a completely different type of culture, and it's widespread. And you can see it in music, you can see it in fashion, you can see it in how, just people conduct themselves. Rap music, drive-bys, just the way culture conducts itself was completely fucking different. And so, if you look at say, an outlaw from the Wild West. Yeah, sure, you're going to make money. You might rob a coach. You might have a shootout at high noon, but there was still that sort of degree of personal freedom and honor and kind of the proverbial middle finger to the establishment. I'm going to do what the fuck I want. I want to be free. And then it started to move more into a larger group think mentality. Things started to consolidate a little bit more, and the culture reflected that.
Yeah, no, because if you're looking at it, especially from the Wild West perspective, you have people like Doc Holliday, where they really were, quote unquote, Southern gentlemen, right? He was a fucking dentist, dude, and he was one of the most feared people in the West. That's insane.
And again, it was a shift away from individuality and the kind of free and open spirit that really defined the early, mid, late 1800s and the early 1900s. But starting with the Great Depression and then post World War One, you started to move into a more collective mindset, and then post World War II, that really took hold within our culture. And combine that with, transportation infrastructure was a thing. Major cities on both the East and the West Coast, that's a thing. America had consolidated at that point. There was no new frontier. And this is why things like Star Trek and Star Wars were so popular. The last frontier, the last greatest place to go explore, to discover new things, to be free and not be beholden to, the 9 to 5 ABCD news and 60-minute type of mindset. You can see that cultural shift really start to take root post 1950s. And, there was no American Wild West. There was no radical individualism. It was very different.
And real quick, Aunt Jack says, stop romanticizing criminals in the Wild West. They were bloodthirsty killers and criminals. Al Capone was a gentleman. When you meet him as well, he would hesitate to kill you. What do you think about that? I think people like William H. Bonney and Jesse James, I believe that they did have honor, especially somebody like Jesse James, where he came from the Missouri bush fight of the Civil War. He had his own code. Now, you could disagree with it if you're a fucking filthy Yankee, but he still had his own code.
Well, and the thing is, yeah, you can touch on that, but I'm not trying to romanticize the aspect that yes, they were killers. They would take your life, but there is a difference between the conduct of criminals and murderers back in the 1800s and the early 1900s as opposed to how they are today. It doesn't change the fact that yes, they're still killers and murderers, but there was a different way of going about things. It wouldn't be a drive-by shooting just because someone talked bad about my baby daddy or something like that. There was a different way of, I'll say their societal structure was different.
And Aunt Jack corrected himself. He said, wouldn't hesitate to kill you. So even...
fuck you, Aunt Jack. You just ruined me bloody joke. Fuck you, Boku. I was had a quick joke before you had that long-ass fucking ramble. It was all about, well, if Al Capone hesitated, it wasn't anything to do with Al Capone being a nice guy. It was more the fact that he's just trying to overcome his natural instincts as an Italian, not to cow it out.
But no, that's the thing. The aspect of these people being violent killers, murderers, and criminals, that's the one underlying factor that has not changed. They've always been violent murderers and killers and criminals because that's what they are. It's the way that they conducted themselves and the way that society expected people to act, even of somebody who's a social degenerate and a deviant, is completely different today than it was back in the mid 1800s.
Well, no, and Aunt Jack is going back and forth here, so I'm going to continue to read what he has to say. He says Jesse James was a raider. There is no honor in being a raider. There is a reason why raiders were never given marked graves. I would disagree to a certain extent. I do believe he did run with Bloody Bill Anderson. That is true. And some of the actions they did were not necessarily becoming of a Southern gentleman. But the fact remains, so did Sheridan. So did fucking Sherman. Like, he burnt a hole all the way to the fucking coast. I mean, are you really going to look down upon Jesse James and elevate somebody like Sherman?
Well, the thing is, another thing you have to remember, or at least take into consideration, it was still, even amongst criminals, back in the days of yesteryear, to shoot an unarmed man or to shoot somebody in the back was still viewed as cowardly, even amongst other criminals and murders and etc. Nowadays, people will do a drive-by in the fucking streets of Detroit or Chicago, and if they shoot a fucking child, they don't give a fuck. Yeah, there is a cultural difference between the two. I'm not saying that someone like Jesse James or anybody else is someone you should praise or try to romanticize. What I'm saying is that there is a cultural difference and there's a different mindset between how violence was treated, especially amongst criminals back in the days of the West and in the early 1900s, even amongst mobsters and gangsters. Nowadays, it's not so much.
Well, no, and let's go to the other side of the pond here. Jez, is there a romantic outlook upon some of the Irish rebels? Some people would probably say there is, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, oh fucking hell! There was this old movie back in the day with James Mason in it, where he was an Irish rebel, odd man out, something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a long time. Yeah, but the thing is, though, one always tends to romanticize with facts, if you know what I mean. What they see on the film.
Yeah, no, and
do you understand what I mean?
I'm trying not to romanticize the Troubles because a lot of bad shit happened during that time, and I'm not trying to piss you off, dude. But that is kind of the Wild West of British history, right?
Well, yeah. But unfortunately, you're sort of asking the wrong person. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And I would actually make the argument that we're not trying to romanticize murderers and criminals, but it's more the idea of having freedom and being able to do what you want, but at the same time you still have to suffer the consequences of your actions. But I think that's more of why outlaws and mobsters get romanticized, is because that it's not only the thrill, but it's the fact that you do have pretty much ultimate freedom. Granted, cops might show up and shoot you in your hotel room, or you might get shot trying to rob a train or a carriage. But it is that idea of like freedom and rebelliousness.
I got a more interesting sort of thing for you with the UK and all that kind of stuff, and they've had actually several Wild West instances all through their history. They've had one with the Romans. They've had like with Charlemagne and fucking Boudicca, those kinds of people. And then when they started getting the colonialism, they've had all of their little Wild West little periods in each colony that they've had. The Boers in South Africa and in India with fucking Gandhi and all this kind of shit. And so yeah, they've had several, I reckon. If you put it like that.
No, that's a fair point. Now that I think about it, even the War of the Roses, right?
Yeah, that was the Civil War.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. I agree with you. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. There is a romantic aspect to the Wild West. This idea, there's a reason people still go to rodeos, right? It's this idea of connecting with our past in a way.
Well, that's even another point there too that I bring up a lot on the World War One stream that the Commonwealth basically saw war as an adventure. It's romanticized. You know, a man isn't a man unless he goes and fights off with his other man and all this kind of shit. And if you look at a lot of early Disney movies and stuff like that, like it was around from the late 40s, early 50s, like mid 50s and early 60s, there's a lot of this sort of exploration kind of old schooly kind of dude with the pith helmet and the fucking the safari suit going out and, oh look, there's a lion and all this kind of stuff, like sort of kind of like what the Thornberrys is nowadays is what it was back then. So even that was sort of romanticized and all this kind of shit.
And actually, that's actually a really good point as well. I think probably one of the major reasons that we romanticize not even just the West, but like you're saying, like safaris or exploration and stuff like that, is because in our current day and age, there isn't such a thing as going out and exploring the great unknown, making, leaving everything behind and, only taking what you can carry on your back and, finding a plot of land or going to try to mine some gold or, becoming an outlaw or trying to explore unknown lands and see strange creatures. And that doesn't exist anymore.
Exploration nowadays is, oh, look, there's an abandoned warehouse at the bottom of the road. Quick, grab a GoPro. Let's have a look.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not the same as it was. So I think there is, and I think this actually is something that kind of speaks more to the human condition than anything else. If it's not going into space or trying to go to the deepest depths of the ocean, there isn't that that sense of the unknown, that sense of, it's coming with a high risk and a high mortality rate. Like it's going to be you against, the forces of nature and whatever else you might encounter. But that sort of sense of adventure doesn't really exist in our society. I think that's actually probably why Star Trek was such a popular show back in the 70s, is because, again, it's, the final frontier, so to speak. That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, that's where I was going on with before, because if you do have a look at a lot of very, very early movies and stuff like that, they are those kind of either swashbuckling pirate movies or they're your westerns or they're your exploring the deepest dark continent movies Tarzan and things like that.
The problem is you also had like movies in the 70s. You also had the opposite end of the spectrum where everything was doom and gloom. You had your disaster movies and, you know what I mean, your Airport 77 and your Beside Adventures and whatnot, you know what I mean? And then the rise of the anti-hero with like Death Wish and things like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, from the 50s onwards, like people did start moving away from your cowboys and Indians because of the prevalence of your sci-fi, your spaceships, your UFOs and aliens, your Roswells and fucking all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you had a slew of fucking hell, a slew of 50s fucking movies.
Well, and also think about the movies like Indiana Jones, like going out to an ancient ruin somewhere and finding lost treasure or lost artifacts or even just forbidden knowledge.
Well, that was the reason why that was such a big.
And then you had Cannon's version of Indiana Jones, the Quartermain, with fucking what's his face.
Yeah, but the reason why Indiana Jones was such a big deal is because it was a callback to those times. It was like, and the same thing with trying to say that Star Wars was serialized, like fucking the old radio serials and shit like that.
Yeah, that was like based on the old serialized Flash Gordons, and so was Indiana Jones 40. Yeah, you're right. It was a callback to that swashbuckling adventure type of movie.
Yep, getting away from the 80s action movies and shit at the time. Arnold Schwarzenegger with his endless belt of fucking M60 ammunition and all this kind of shit.
Yeah, that was a different field. That was a different field altogether.
But people's interest started moving away. Like the reason why we got so many stupid action movies, like with Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking all those kinds of cunts back in the 80s, is because, well, cunts were lapping them up like crazy. People weren't really interested in your gangster movie or your fucking. They wanted your big muscle man with his gigantic gun just letting loose fucking endless amounts of ammunition through the whole thing.
Exactamundo 40. They wanted 90 minutes of explosion and male masculinity. 90 minutes, bang. That's all they wanted.
Yeah.
And now we have Michael
And
Bay.
that sold. You've got to admit, that shit sold for fucking years, man.
But then through the
sold
90s,
years.
through the 90s, notice you'll start to get a trend of they trying to get a bit more realistic, like it's getting a bit darker and a bit grittier and a bit more realistic. Like, so your military movies aren't like your Top Gun anymore. They're more like a fucking,
the start of it was Total Recall. Don't go give these action movie idiots a plot. They're never going to figure this out. Are you kidding? You've got a plot to an action movie. They're not going to figure this out. And sure enough, 90% of the audience don't know what the fuck Total Recall is all about.
Well, the most common thing I remember from the noughties, though, was that they were trying to flog the fuck out of Spider-Man to death for some bloody reason.
Oh, don't get me started.
We're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Don't get me started, honest. Fuck me. I swear to God, we're going to have to do an extra stream for the next 3.5 hours if you fucking get me started about Spider-Man.
But I do remember the noughties was when they just started ruining movies and shit like that, and then fucking since the 2016s when they started fucking rehashing old shit and wrecking it again.
Yeah.
Well, and that's also when the Screenwriters Guild had their boycott/protest, and the majority of the decent talent all got blacklisted, and then it just went to shit.
Yeah. Everybody blames this on the fucking last writers' fucking strike, blah, 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 blah. But you've got to remember, these writers' strikes, every time the coffee's cold, they strike. And they have been doing since 1962 with the unions.
Well, no, the only difference about the screenwriters strike during the 90s is that Hollywood got so fed up with it that they just blacklisted them and just fired them and said fuck it. So you lost a bunch of talent and everything went downhill from there.
This shit for like 60, 70 years. They decided, well, fuck you. I tell you what, fuck you, you're fired. Fuck you, you're fired. And
that's literally the only difference. It wasn't the fact that they actually went on strike. It's the fact that all the major production studios just said, fine, fuck it, we're done with this. You're fired. You're never getting your job back. And they all went to become fucking, young adult novelists after that. And Hollywood went to shit as a consequence, with some exceptions. But for the most part, if you look between like the late 80s up into the mid 90s, the quality of film production, as far as like the narrative goes, it just went to shit.
It slumped like shit, Doku. Yeah, it slumped like shit, man. It really did. Yeah.
And that's a result because they lost like, I think it's like roughly like around like 60 or 70% of the senior screenwriters, like were just gone, like out of the industry. Boom, dead.
They all jumped ship, and then they started joining like Spielberg's animation companies and things like that. You know what I mean? They all jumped ship and went.
A lot of them went to Pixar.
Other companies. Yeah, well, Pixar, Spielberg, DreamWorks, whatever it's called. Do you know what I mean? All these people jumped ship and went to work for fucking other companies.
Well, also, you notice around that same time, that's when the indie film industry had a big boom as well. So a lot of these people just said, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself."
Yeah.
So you saw the indie films actually have a golden age, so to speak. That's still kind of going on to this day. Not nearly as good as it was back in the early 2000s, but the second corporate Hollywood, corporate entertainment decided to say "fuck you," they decided to say "fuck you" back. It's kind of the same shit you're seeing with comics and publishing and video games nowadays. You have enough of a social media presence, you talk to enough people, and you got a decent idea, you can make an Indiegogo or a GoFundMe, and you don't need to go through the normal channels. Exactly. You can make your own shit.
Exactly. As long as you can produce the goods and you've got it there, look, this is what you're going to invest in. You can produce the actual solid good This is
Well,
what you're
no.
going to invest in.
Well, no, Jez, absolutely, dude. That's what Doku and I are doing, man. We're working on a fucking graphic novel.
Why not?
I'm hoping in the next month or two we'll launch our Indiegogo and get her done. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah, the only challenge is going to be finding a good artist, and that's the problem with the graphic novel. I'm a writer, and Mad Dodge is no slouch either. Putting the narrative together, that's not going to be the difficult part. The difficult part is going to be finding a writer or an artist, an inker, and a letterer, and then launching the Indiegogo and trying to gain some traction.
The fucking hard bits. Oh dear, boys.
An inker. You're a tracer.
Dude, mole
No,
rats.
I'm not even. I'm not even worried.
I don't want to speak to any of Tracer.
You're a tracer.
Yeah,
I'm an inker.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Actually, honestly, finding an inker is going to be the hardest part.
Yeah, they're all extinct. The fucking Spanish wiped them out.
Finding a pencil, an ink, and a color bit is going to be the hardest part. I'm telling you.
Real quick,
Because if all you've got is the script, you're fucked.
No, real quick, Pete, creepy little book. If you're still watching, can you connect me with Tina, or I'll try and hit her up myself? But she's an inker, right? Like, I would like to know how much she charges, because that get one of the three things we need out the door.
See, he knows fuck all about comics, dude. You get a penciler first. You get a penciler, an overall artist. You can do pencils first, and then an inker. It comes with pencils and inkers. Two same things.
Well,
Good.
I reckon she's full of shit because fucking the Spanish wiped all the Incas out. So,
God damn it, Farty. No, the only reason I say finding an inker is going to be the hardest part is because you can find artists fairly easily. Now, quality, that's up for debate, but you can find plenty of artists. But finding someone who can
are you mixing inker with colorist?
Oh no, I'm talking specifically an inker, and that would.
Well, no. And Pete just said she's a colorist, and he'll go ahead and connect her to me. So
Okay, well, that even then that would still work. But no,
she's a colorist. Does that mean is that like a racist? She's okay with people as long as they're not a certain color.
God damn it! Why is it always the Australians?
She can race swap anything.
She'll change her title now.
Like, no, seriously, Australians are the most racist people on the planet. Like, you guys are worse than the Japanese. Like, seriously. I think only the Koreans have one up on you. Am I right, Jack?
No, actually, I'd say the Japanese and possibly even the Koreans would have one up on the Australians, both of them, because fucking they'll stand there in a fucking store and they'll look at something that says "don't touch," they'll pick it up, and then one of them, I've seen this happen, right? A couple fucking picked something up. One of them picked up something. The other one goes, "Oh, look, it says don't touch," and the other one goes, "Oh, me speak no English."
Bang!
Like, no shit to her husband. I just looked at it. Oh, you're fucking kidding. And they both looked at me and went, "Oh, fuck," and they put it down.
Right, George, thanks for inviting me on for a little bit, and I'll see everybody later on. Bye for now.
Ta-da.
Yeah, later, Jess.
Yeah, take it easy, bro. But yeah, no, I think that graphic novel is really going to work out well. I think the narrative we have going on will be really good, and it'll be serialized, so it'll be independent stories. So that'll help us out as well. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it'll all be standalone stories, but it still shares the same sort of continuity. But it's not going to be something like Game of Thrones or Star Wars where you gotta see episode 1 before you can understand episode 2. It's not going to be like that. It'll be more of like a deconstructed anthology. Would probably be the easiest way to describe it.
Well, I think the easiest way to describe it would be Tales from the Crypt, just with a Western feel and, well, a Western sci-fi type feel to it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, because we've been working
sci-fi
on
Western.
it.
Yeah, sci-fi Western would be the best way to describe it because that's really what it is. Hence the only reason we're bringing it up on the stream talking about Westerns, because the theme is, adventure, the unknown, going out there. There might be some outlaw elements. There might be some law-keeping elements. But it's kind of a final frontier thing, kind of trying to recapture some of that old Americana romanticism.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be a great project, and hopefully we can find a decent artist. That's really the hard part, because I want to go with the grimy, the dirty look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of make it a little bit more sketchy, like.
Yeah, lots of shades of gray. You know what I mean? The dirty, grimy look.
I was going to say, if you want it grimy, just take it outside and rub it in the ground.
God damn it, Farty.
But you know what I mean?
And Creepy Little Book has a suggestion for you in the chat. Hey, Pete, could you just send me the name and a DM on Discord?
Oh, I know who Mike is. Yeah, no, I think I'm subscribed to his channel. Yeah, I'll try and connect with him. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate the idea.
Is his last name Hunt?
Mike Engelhauser. I believe that's how you say it.
Engelhauser?
I'm not sure who Crystal McGee is. I haven't heard of her. But I do know who Mike is. So, thank you very much, Pete.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. And Mad Dodge, our bigger issue is going to be the fact that this is our first project, so it's not exactly we're going to have a name or brand recognition. So, funding is definitely going to be something we got to worry about.
Yeah, it's his first time, so be gentle, Dodge.
No, it's his first time. It's not my first time. I've published stuff before.
Oh, well, be gentle, Doku.
Yeah, I'm never gentle.
Be dental then.
What if I don't want to be? He's going to have to learn the hard way.
That being said, I think we're going to bounce out. I'm willing to head over to Discord if you want to bullshit, Doku. But, yeah, I think we're about done here, right?
No, yeah, and unless Shandor has something that popped up, we should be going live with Exiled Opinions sometime here in the next hour or two. So get your drinks ready. I have no idea what we're talking about. It'll probably be a shit show, as it usually is, but it'll be fun.
Okay, I don't think there's going to be an Eldritch show this week either. I just got a message saying that you're probably going to be spending tonight working on the script instead.
Okay. Hey, no, Eldritch, he needs to do him, and let him know. Have him DM me. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
And thank you everybody for coming out. I appreciate the super chats and everything, guys. You guys are amazing as always. We will be back tomorrow with the World War I stream, and over on my Discord, we're gonna play some Vampire the Masquerade tomorrow. That'll be fun. World War III is popping off. That'll be great. So, I appreciate everybody coming out. Good night. Good luck, and don't go to France. Fuck them. We hate the French. Am I right?
I hate everybody equally.
Yeah, we're out of here. Peace.